All right. Good afternoon, Pension Subcommittee, and the many people watching at home. This is a not early in the morning subcommittee meeting, but we have a couple of bills that were re-referred to Budget and Tax, and so Pensions is meeting in the daylight hours to hear Senate Bill 958 and Senate Bill 997, and then we have a number of bills for discussion after that. And Senator Eckert, thank you for being here. Let's start with Senate Bill 997, Correctional Officers Retirement System, Talbot County.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the Pension Subcommittee. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. With me, I have Laura Price from the Talbot County Council, and we are bringing before you this provision that would include the Talbot County Local Detention Center's officers to participate in the correctional officers retirement system. As you know, all of our rural communities have had a lot of difficulty recruiting and retaining our law enforcement officers and correctional officers, and we believe this is one way to continue to recognize not only the good work that they do, but to compensate them and provide a little incentive. So it came in late because we were working out the cost to the local jurisdiction, and I would urge your favorable passage of this initiative for Talbot County, and I'll turn it over to Laura Price.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of this subcommittee. I'm Laura Price, Councilwoman for Talbot County, requesting favorable report on SB 997. I wish to thank my wonderful Senator Eckert for sponsoring this bill at the request of the Talbot County Council, and we submitted a unanimous letter of support on this bill. The County Council received the request from our Corrections Director, Mr. Terry Kokolas, on behalf of the correctional officers to request authorizing legislation which would allow the county to evaluate and potentially participate in the Maryland Correctional Officers Retirement System. We're interested in determining the feasibility of joining corps in an effort to retain the high level of professionalism that is seen throughout the work of the correctional officers. Competitive compensation packages that include retirement are key to stabilizing the workforce in what has become a very highly competitive environment, as evidenced with our hardworking and dedicated correctional officers. The fiscal note shows that it won't have any ripple effect on any other participating government units. This is just a local bill, and Talbot County appreciates your consideration and requests a favorable report on SB 997. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Do we have any questions for Senator Eckert or Ms. Price? Yes, Senator Griffith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I probably missed it, but what was the number of employees that would be impacted by this, should we adopt it? Do we have a sense of how many folks would be transferring?
I don't, it would be several dozen, and I can get that to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Just, yeah, not hundreds, basically.
No.
Okay,
No.
all right, thank you.
No, 30, 40, something,
Okay.
maybe tops 50.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Of course. I actually have a question for Philip. This is
38.
38. Oh,
Hey, I guessed right.
thank you, Senator Eckert. Philip, we've done similar bills for other, I feel like just in the last year or two. Is that correct?
Yes, this bill is similar to legislation previously enacted for, I believe, Kent and Queen Anne's.
That's what I
Anne's, is
thought.
that right?
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions, thank you very much, Senator Eckert. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, if the subcommittee would indulge me, as I think Senator Carrozza is across in finance, so as we wait for her, I don't want to waste our time. So we have a couple of bills for discussion that should be on your agenda. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to start with those until Senator Carrozza joins us. We have Senate Bill 417, State Employee and Retiree Health and Welfare Benefits Program, Eligibility for Enrollment and Participation, Independent Agency Health Insurance Option Act. I'd like to thank the members for asking really great questions and having what I thought was a very productive conversation at our last subcommittee meeting, and I believe there are amendments that are the product of that discussion. Philip?
Yes, you should have a reprint on your desk for Senate Bill 417. The amendments strike Bainbridge Development Corporation, from the bill. And then also on page 2, it adds a reporting requirement for, should be for DBM, I might have to fix that, on the participation by non-state entities in the health program.
Senator Jackson, are you looking for the bill? Yes. Okay. Does everybody else need a reprint? Well, let's pause till we have everybody has the bill. Actually, no. I don't have the reprint. Thank you. All right, we're pausing until everybody has a copy of the reprint of 417. Everybody's fine? Okay. Senator McCray. Okay. Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the bill as on the amendment? Okay, any opposed? All right, is there a motion on the bill as amended? Okay, all those in favor of the bill as amended? Wonderful. I'm very proud of this subcommittee, that was excellent work. Thank you. Okay, next on our discussion sheet, Senate Bill 954, State Retirement and Pension System Investment Committee, Use of Minority Business Enterprises, Diversity Among Asset Managers Act of 2022. Philip, I believe, I have not gotten the word yet, confirmation on those amendments.
No, there were amendments referenced at the hearing by the sponsor, I believe to conform the bill to the House cross file, which is House Bill 542, which has been passed out to you all. What the amendments would do,
I apologize, Senate Bill,
Senate Bill
Bill-
954. I don't have amendments yet submitted, but there was reference at the hearing by the sponsor that the intent was to amend it to look like the House cross file, which is House Bill 542,
yes.
which you should have on your desks.
Yeah, apologies for the confusion. Yes, the House bill, it is moving. I believe it was on second reader this week. Yes, it's this, yes.
Yes.
So the House amended the bill, and while we don't have amendments separated out for the Senate version of the bill, we do have the House version reprint in front of you.
Correct, and the House amendments strike the provisions of the bill as introduced that would set the requirements for the retirement system use of brokerage and investment management services by minority businesses. Add a requirement for an annual assessment of the use of MBEs, but then instead of changes to those requirements, it adds a disparity study on the use of investment and brokerage services.
Senator Griffith, you look like you have a question.
I do think. No, I appreciate the amendments. I just, when you said disparity study, there've been some conversations about other needs to assist with disparity study language, so I wondered if this might not be a place where that could happen. So, I have some language that I could ask the subcommittee to consider with both 542 and 954, if it would be possible. I have them, I can email them to council, Madam Chair.
I think that's a great, yes, I think that's a good strategy. So let's hold on 954 for now. And we want to confirm with the Senate sponsor, just absolutely confirm their vision for this bill. And in the meantime, we'll get Senator Griffith's suggestions and let's maybe offline discuss it.
Excellent,
as a group.
excellent, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 997, what we just heard, Correctional Officers Retirement System, Talbot County, Senator Eckerd. We usually like to take a little time in between hearing a bill and voting on a bill, but given the timeline this week, I'm going to ask the subcommittee's grace in considering this bill. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? So moved. Okay, it's important. It's important to get it across. Okay. All right, while we are waiting for Senator Carrozza, Senator Jackson, I'd also like, we don't have anything in front of you on this bill, but a number of members had been brainstorming Senate Bill 115. And I'd like us just to start that discussion now, not looking for a motion, not looking for anything beyond a discussion, but want to kind of get the subcommittee's feedback on that bill. Philip, would you mind running us through the bill as it stands? And then Senator Jackson, if you would be comfortable walking us through your vision.
The bill as introduced, Senate Bill 115, would have increased the multiplier for the LEOPS system from 2% to 2.5%. I think that is the meat of it.
And there's a second provision as well.
It also increased the maximum benefit accrual from 65% of average final compensation to 70%.
Okay. Senator Jackson, would you mind sharing with the subcommittee kind of your thought process on possible amendments for 115?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, we've been working on this for a number of years. Philip has informed us from a fiscal standpoint the impact of such a piece of legislation. We understand, some of us more than others, how difficult it is to recruit and retain employees, particularly in public safety, but everywhere nowadays. And we're trying to find a way to come up with a concerted effort of looking holistically at what the true challenge is. And I think we've got to put all our cards on the table, have all the stakeholders at the table to come up with a solution and begin to work toward that. I am sort of shocked at the fiscal note, and I hope Philip will chime in here a little bit to talk about the impact. A lot of the agencies in the state, I mean, we're talking over 150 plus agencies in the state, law enforcement agencies, and oftentimes some of these smaller agencies, or some even the county agencies, will compare themselves with other jurisdictions. Officers join an agency, and a couple years later, they jump to another agency because of the starting salaries, or when they look at the salary, they believe that that's the better move for them. And I think many times, if you haven't been involved in this process, you really don't know the entire benefit packages that are associated with respective agencies. So I think we have an opportunity here to begin to take a look at that. We can use this as a vehicle to do so because, quite frankly, members, the fiscal impact here is probably not conducive to what we're trying to do in this particular, for this particular group of folks. And I've worked with them for a number of years. I'm an FOP guy. I've come through it. I've worked, even when I was the sheriff of my county, I worked with our FOP folks, and it's difficult, trying to compare salaries. You may look at the state police, you may look at a local sheriff's office or a police department, but there are other factors that come into play, and that's why, Philip is our, guy. Yeah, he's our guru to bring us back down to reality. I mean, oftentimes it looks simple on this surface to say, hey, if you up the percentage or 0.5%, and we'll even increase, these folks are even willing to increase their contribution, but there are some other impacts that that aren't readily available to us unless we have someone like Philip. So if you could further explain this for us. Members.
Yeah, as Senator Jackson was saying, if the concept is looking at this from an approach of recruitment and retention, this is one piece of that puzzle. And so during the hearing, and I believe they submitted testimony, Mako had offered an amendment to allow counties to opt into the enhancement or not. And in talking with Senator Jackson, that could impact the recruitment retention issue, as Senator Jackson said. If officers are jumping between departments, between local to local, local to state, state to local, allowing for a differentiated benefit that locals are opting in or out of could further exacerbate that. Additionally, with an enhanced benefit from 2 to 2.5, that's about a 25% increase. And so We don't necessarily know what the impact for each local could be and how that may affect their budgets in their aims of, providing compensation to retain or recruit new officers. One of the other pieces that was brought up at the hearing was, it was testimony of an intent to create some parity between LEOPS and state police. State police has a multiplier of 2.55, whereas LEOPS is 2.0. However, state police are not in Social Security, and LEOPS, you have both state and local participating units, and the state LEOPS members are in Social Security. So in terms of, again, that parity and creating the incentives for people to move, there may be an unintended consequence that needs to be explored there, where you'd be providing a similar multiplier for LEOPS, but the LEOPS members would also have Social Security enrollment. And then at the local level, I don't know which participating units are in or are not in Social Security. It's not uncommon for public safety government employers to not be in Social Security. So that's another factor. So in talking with Senator Jackson, the concept was to try and take a more holistic approach so that by focusing on one piece, you're not squeezing a balloon and having, beefing up one piece, but restricting, the ability to use another component.
So I want to thank Senator Jackson for being open to ideas, and the only other concern is, with the bill as introduced, is we've not done, or an actuarial study has not been conducted.
Yeah,
Yet.
typically, historically, a benefit enhancement has been something that's been a multi-year process with interim activities, bringing together stakeholders and looking at the financial impacts.
So given that, I think we all share the goal of recruitment and retention is a challenge for all of our jurisdictions across the board. And this might be an opportunity, Senate Bill 115, to take a 30,000-foot view of not just retirement benefits, but as Senator Jackson and Philip said, compensation as well. And so the concept Senator Jackson and I have been discussing is to make this a study bill and direct various stakeholders to come together over the interim, conduct that actuarial study, and report back to this subcommittee by November, December, depending on how quickly they can do that, with a better understanding of the picture as a whole, both on compensation and retiree benefits, so we can, make more educated decisions about what to do next year to meet the goal of increased recruitment and retention.
And if I might, Madam
Please.
Chair, Philip, if you could kind of speak to, an example so we can all understand from a tangible standpoint, that impact that, a move like this would make right now. So I know in Harford County, which is, some of the folks I've been working with for years on this, their county executive, Mako came in and said, make it an enabling legislation locally. The county executive signed on to that piece of legislation. Well, he agreed to that. But again, there are some, unintended consequences. I think you spoke to us about.
Right. I would also note that the concept that was pitched about allowing, a local opt-in process for an enhancement is not something that could feasibly be administered by the system in the next fiscal year. It would likely need a delayed implementation to sort out exactly how that would work. So that's another piece of the issues for related to that concept. But also, as you were saying, if you're talking, the LEOPS employer contribution already for the locals is somewhere in the 36% range. So if you're talking a 25% benefit enhancement, you could be looking at a similar increase on that employer side for the normal and unfunded liabilities.
So-
That's 36-37%.
Of
Could
payroll.
possibly go up to, right.
Of payroll, right.
Could possibly be increased to,
Right,
another 0.25%.
right.
So how does the subcommittee feel about this concept of a study amendment?
Sounds great.
Comfortable? Okay.
If you could, can you list the folks we've been discussing on the?
So I think when we were talking, one of the ideas was, I guess, for the lead study agency to be an agency that has connections to law enforcement throughout the state. So to the extent that there's a state entity that is involved in relations with local law enforcement, that might be a place to start with being the lead agency. And I think GoCop was referenced. I can check on that. But other contributing agencies that should be in the mix would be the pension system, DBM, MACO MML, and then the state police, and then the law enforcement union representatives too.
Senator Jackson?
Yeah, I'd like to make a change on that. Putting the state police at the table is fine, but the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission would have all the information regarding, and they would have access to the information of gaining the benefits and the salaries and everyone. The state police could only talk to you about the state police.
Okay.
They could be a part of it because they are a part of, the 150-plus agencies. So I think, the Training and Standards Commission is required to keep up on some of those things as well, so.
Okay. So, subcommittee, we can we will work on that amendment as soon as Philip gets the budget done. We can come back together as a subcommittee at some point. I'm seeing heads shake. Would folks be comfortable voting on this amendment in concept? So we can at least put it to the full committee and get it moving? Okay, is there a motion? Okay, quite the motion. All those in favor? All right, I appreciate it. We're doing some good work grouping here. Thank you, Senator Jackson. Thank you, Philip. Senator Carozza. All right, thank you, Senator Carozza. We're here, Senate Bill 958, Law Enforcement Officers Pension System, Chrisfield Police Department, and I believe you have Police Chief with us as well.
Oh, am I supposed to be using this? Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the members of the Senate Budget and Taxation. Senator Mary Beth Carozza, representing District 38 for the record, and that's Somerset, Worcester, and Wycomico counties. And today I'm very pleased to present to you Senate Bill 958, which is the Law Enforcement Officers Pension System for the Chrisfield Police Department. And this legislation would allow the members of the Chrisfield Police Department to participate in the Law Enforcement Officer Pension System, LEOPS. Chrisfield Police Chief David DeFonso has been working with officials from the Maryland Retirement and Pension System since September of '21 after receiving approval from the Chrisfield Mayor and City Council for the Police Department to apply for LEOPS with the intention of entering LEOPS in July of '22. I publicly want to thank Ms. Ann Gothrop for her assistance and guidance through this process. During this process, the chief was informed that legislation was required for the Chrisfield Police Department to participate in LEOPS, as the city of Chrisfield currently is participating in a non-contributory retirement system. And if I could just share with the chair and with the members, this is a local priority bill that would allow the Chrisfield Police Department to retain and recruit qualified officers and to remain competitive with neighboring law enforcement agencies and jurisdictions during a time of a rampant law enforcement shortage across the shore in the state of Maryland. And I want to publicly thank the chief for making the trip up from Chrisfield so you can hear firsthand the challenges of the Chrisfield Police Department and the need to pass Senate Bill 958 as soon as possible. And Madam Chair and members, I thank you for your kind consideration and attention and respectfully ask for a favorable report of SB 958. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Chief, we're all very familiar with Chrisfield and quite the drive you took because we're there at least once a year for the Tall's Clam Bake. So thank you for making that commute for us.
It's my pleasure. And Madam Chair and committee, thank you for having me and allowing me to make this pitch. And thank you, Senator Carozza, too. You've been a huge help, and I really appreciate this. But as the senator said, the Chrisfield Police Department, as you all know, it's a small town. We have 11 sworn officers. I have a slot for 12, but I can't seem to fill that last slot. And we have the distinction of being the lowest paid police department and the only police department without LEOPS in the county. The Somerset County Sheriff's Office obtained LEOPS last year. So I'm actually very fortunate because I have a very good staff. I have professional police officers that are loyal and that are committed to the community. And what I'm afraid of is that I have about a 2-year window, because now that the sheriff's office has LEOPS, they're going to stay with me only so long, and then they're not going to have any choice but to bail and go to another agency, more than likely the sheriff's office. Because it's just, you can't, they understand and they want to stay, but they can't stay there in good mind and take care of their families with the retirement that we currently offer. So as I told the mayor and the council, if we want to continue to have a Chrisfield Police Department, then we have to have LEOPS. It's a must-have item. So I would really appreciate if you would vote favorably on this bill, and I appreciate all the consideration you've given.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for the senator or the chief? Okay. I do have just a couple of detailed questions just on current benefits and the change in the plan, if that's okay. It won't take long. So 11 employees, what's the current employer contribution?
Employer, 0.
Okay.
They're non-contributory currently.
Okay. And what will it be under this plan?
7%.
7%? Okay.
That's the employee.
Employee?
That would be the employee rate.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Any questions with that? Okay, Senator Carrozza, Chief, thank you for making the trip for 5 minutes.
you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, Senator? Okay. Okay. Ms. Gothard, do you want to come forward? Thank you. Senator Jackson?
You're doing this to make my trip worthwhile, aren't you?
I just think, I just want to make sure everybody has a clear understanding of what we're trying to do here. We have, at least for my 8 years here, each year, we look at our employees, particularly our public safety family, and we try to find out how we can best position them in their careers, and I understand exactly what the chief's talking about, And I think the understanding of the 7% for the employees, that's understandable, Chief. And from the county's perspective or the city's perspective, what we're looking at. And I know that the conversation with Senator Carrozza that she had with you to explain to her that legislation would be needed. And we just want to have a clear understanding as we go forward.
So you're asking what the difference in the cost for the employer is going to be?
Yes.
So LEOPS, let me preface it with LEOPS is a more generous benefit. Chrisfield is in the lowest benefit plan that we have. The multiplier is 0.8. So after 30 years, you're getting 24% of your final salary. They're moving into LEOPS, which is a 2% multiplier. So after 30 years there, you'd get 60% of your benefit. So you see the difference that it's a much more expensive benefit. I preface that so that you don't gasp when I say it's going to go from about, I think it's like 5 to 10%. It's somewhere, it might be like 6 or 7%, I think, where right now in the employees' pension system for the municipalities. It's going to go up to probably the mid-30s % of payroll for LEOPS.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha. So it's essentially what we were talking about a little earlier, so thank you.
Okay.
Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Thank you, Ann. Always helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Gothrop, and we always want to make your trip worthwhile.
Always with her.
Chief, stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Senator, just one more note. I think we do still need a letter from the town of Chrisfield. Okay. Okay, thank you. Chief, thank you for making the trip. Okay. Senator, last thing on our agenda is to take up the bill we just heard, if the subcommittee so chooses, pending, kind of maybe with the asterisk as we'll present to full committee when we receive the letter from Chrisfield. Senator Jackson was favorable. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. So we'll send that up as soon as we have the letter. Okay. Senators, that is our work for today. I appreciate your time and your brainstorming of wonderful ideas. And with that, we are adjourned.